This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Good morning, my Real News Media TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update. I'm wishing for everybody a happy Sunday as we go throughout the day. And in the news for this morning, November 6, 2022, Kingston Funeral Home Director missing. A 23-year-old funeral director of Clemago Path in Mona Heights, Kingston 6, has been reported missing since Thursday, November 3. He has been identified as Tyrese Smith. According to a missing persons report, Smith is of dark complexion, medium build, and is about 165 centimeters or 5 feet 5 inches tall. Reports from the Halfway Tree Police are that Smith was last seen about 3 p.m. at his workplace. All subsequent attempts to contact him have failed. Anyone with information that can assist the police to locate Tyrese Smith is asked to contact the Halfway Tree Police at 876-926-8185, the police 119 emergency number, or the nearest police station. Excavator operator feared dead in St. Elizabeth. An excavator operator is feared dead following a freak accident at Exton near Junction in St. Elizabeth on Saturday. Preliminary reports are that about 2 p.m., the operator fell in a mark pit in Exton where he was working. Efforts by emergency responders to retrieve his body up to late Saturday were unsuccessful. A search is expected to continue today. 52-year-old farmer gunned down in St. James. The St. James police are investigating the circumstances surrounding the death of a farmer who was shot and killed by unknown assailants in the community of Tangle River on Saturday afternoon. He has been identified as 52-year-old Ian Bell, otherwise called the Slime of Bottom Roper District in the area. The police report that about 2:20 p.m., residents reported hearing a barrage of gunshots in the community. When the shooting subsided, they went to investigate. Bell was discovered in blood in a yard that has a one-bedroom board dwelling. The police were summoned, and upon arrival, it was discovered that Bell was shot multiple times. The scene was processed and the injured man was transported to the Cornwall Regional Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. 1,500 summoned for court, only 33 show up. Jury trials slated for the Home Circuit Court in Kingston continue to be dodged by low juror turnouts, with the latest figures showing that of the 1,500 Jamaicans summoned for duty during the current sitting of the court, only 33 have showed up. Responding to questions, the Court Administration Division said between October 14 and November 4, there were 35 requests by individuals who wished to be excused. The CAD said of that number, 29 requests were granted and 6 refused. It said there were 0 deferrals. The Home Circuit Court opened for the Michaelmas term in September. Jury trials resumed in April this year after being suspended from March 2020, when Jamaica recorded its first case of the novel coronavirus. At that time, the CAD reported low juror turnout in the parishes of Kingston and St. Andrew, St. James, Clarendon, and St. Catherine. It, however, said the courts have been able to empanel and proceed with a matter set for jury trials. The issue rose to the fore during a case management hearing for a 3 accused matter on Monday in the Home Circuit Division of the Supreme Court in downtown Kingston, which was being presided over by Justice Leighton Pusey. Defense attorney Diane Jobson, who represents one of the 3 defendants, had chafed at the length of time it was taking for a trial date to be set for the matter, which she said had been before the court several times since the term began. Justice Pusey, in explaining to the attorney, said the further delay was due to several reasons, including the novel coronavirus pandemic, the ongoing Klansman gang trial, which has engaged the 2 main courtrooms for the better part of 2 years, and insufficient jurors. Jurors are not summoned for specific cases, but are called for a particular period and placed in a pool from which they are then empaneled for different cases after orientation. The CAD is responsible for issuing summonses to people for jury duty. Summonses are issued to the police for distribution to selected citizens who are expected to report to the court specified in the summons on the date stipulated. failing to turn up for jury duty when summoned can result in a fine not exceeding $10,000. President of the Jamaica Bar Association, Alexander Williams, who had welcomed the resumption of jury trials, told the news that the low turnout could be interpreted several ways. When you see 1,500 summonses were issued and only 33 showed up, you must ask of the 1,500 issued how many were actually served. So you cannot look at that statistic and conclude as to whether or not the jury system is in trouble. A lot of times when summonses are issued, the police really don't go out and search out those jurors. Remember too, people are just coming out of the pandemic, so there may be some reticence in coming forward because they are still trying to straighten out their lives, the Bar Association president stated. On Friday, the CAD said it was unable at the time to say how many summonses, 1,000 of which were given to the police, and the 500 sent via mail had actually been served. At the moment, we don't know. We operate on a system of trust. There is a way to tell, but it requires a manual search, the news was told. According to the CAD, documentation which is done upon delivery of the summons, which are returned to the courts, would indicate what transpired when each summons was delivered. In the meantime, the CAD said jury trials are ongoing across the island. It said statistics relating to the number of matters on the trial list for the Home Circuit Court in Kingston for this term for trial by jury were not available at the time the news made its queries. Chief Justice Brent Sykes has on several occasions since 2020 urged individuals to opt for judge-alone trials. As far as jury trials are concerned, I think the time has come now for us to revisit whether we should retain jury trials, he said on one occasion. According to the Chief Justice, with the trials being pushed further and further back due to the suspension of jury trials because of the vagaries of the pandemic, it is just a matter of time before someone is going to make the case that their constitutional rights to a fair trial within a reasonable time are being violated. In this context, the Chief Justice, while battling for jury trials to be struck out altogether, said the executive and the legislature really need to revisit this question of jury trials, and if they are going to retain them, then you have to have all the financial and material resources necessary to make it work in the context of a pandemic, because it is going to be costly. Convicted drug boss appeals a seizure of $500 million in assets. Andrew Hamilton, the Jamaican drug boss who was ordered by the court to turn over a portfolio of assets valued at more than $500 million to the government, has made a last-gasp attempt to hold on to them. Lawyers for Hamilton and the members of his family, who were the registered owners of some of the assets, have filed an application in the Court of Appeal seeking leave to challenge the forfeiture order made by the Supreme Court, according to documents seen by the news on Friday. The application also seeks a stay of the order made on July 8, which stripped the convicted drug dealer, members of his family and associates, of 14 multi-million-dollar homes, 4 motor vehicles, 4 bulldozers, a fishing vessel purchased for $19 million, and a bank account with $19 million. It is the largest forfeiture order obtained by the Financial Investigations Division, the agency that enforces Jamaica's Proceeds of Crime Act, the legislation crafted to deprive criminals of their ill-gotten gains. The homes include a penthouse suite and 2 apartments in the gated Norbrook Ritz complex located in the upscale neighborhood of Norbrook St. Andrew, 6 apartments in the gated Monte Carlo Isle complex, also in St. Andrew, and a mansion in Ironshore, St. James. Ian Wilkinson Casey, whose law firm represents Hamilton and some of his relatives, had agreed to the news interview to discuss the basis for the application last week, but the subsequent attempts to contact him were unsuccessful. The application is set to be heard on Tuesday by a panel of 3 judges, and the decision is expected a week later. FID officials and the agency's lead attorney, Caroline Hay KC, declined to comment on the latest legal move by Hamilton, a former Jamaican cop and a postal worker who is believed to have amassed a $1 billion asset portfolio comprising more than 24 luxury homes and cars. The remainder of his assets has been frozen by a restraint order issued by the Supreme Court, the FID previously told the news. Among the assets ordered frozen by the court is a house located in the central Jamaica town of Mandeville, worth US $1.2 million, or over Jamaican $181 million, according to the FID. Hamilton's empire began crumbling in 2012 after he pleaded guilty to money laundering and a conspiracy to deal in ganja in a United States court. He was sentenced in February 2014 to 4 years in prison, records show. Following the conviction, the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency requested that Jamaican authorities conduct a civil investigation into Hamilton's assets here, and that's when the FID discovered the drug dealer's staggering wealth. A review of court records showed that 5 of the Monte Carlo Isle apartments and the lots for 2 of the Norfolk units were acquired over a 7-day period ending on June 25, 2008, for a total of Jamaican $61 million and the US $300,000. The others were acquired 2 days apart in March that year. All the assets were acquired between 1998 and 2009 and registered to Hamilton, his relatives, including his elderly mother, friends, and associates, according to the FID. Devon Evans, Chief Executive Officer of North American Holdings, which developed the Monte Carlo Isle complex, sought to make it clear that his company followed the real estate law and was not complicit in Hamilton's acquisition of the apartments. We did not personally communicate with any of these people. We don't even know him, which is typical in real estate transactions, Evans told the news. We never met the man. We don't know who the man is, and we don't know his straw buyers, he said, referring to Hamilton and his associates. Evans disclosed that the transactions were handled by real estate agents and attorneys for both sides, who would have acted and gotten all these possession letters, keys, transfers, and titles for these persons. The sad thing about it is that is the real estate law in Jamaica, said the developer. He disclosed too that the Monte Carlo Isle project was funded through a $200 million loan from Jamaican financial institution First Global Bank. Hamilton and the members of his family were arrested by the Jamaican police in December 2016 on money laundering charges, along with attorney Don Satterthwaite, who is accused of fronting the real estate purchases. That case is ongoing. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.